Hello, welcome to the Gun Shop with me, John. Today we're going to be talking about exit pupil diameter. A very important factor in the light transmission of an optic and something that is generally ignored or misunderstood by a lot of people. What is exit pupil diameter? Exit pupil diameter, if you pop these scope covers off, is the size, and it depends very much on the manufacturer as to how far you're supposed to hold this away from your eye, but on this particular one about 10 inches is good. And you point it up to a bright light, you'll see there's a very small circle of bright light right in the middle of the scope. That is your exit pupil diameter. That is the image that is being relayed directly onto your eye. Pretty good, eh? Obviously, there's only a certain amount of light your eye can take. Your eye pupil dilating anywhere between a maximum of 5 and 7 millimeters. This is very much eye dependent and also age dependent. I'm believing that older people's pupils are smaller or can dilate less than a younger person's pupils, as well as your eye. Different eyes will dilate at different amounts. And without going to a professional and getting your eye measured, let's just say a maximum of somewhere between 5 and 7 millimeters is what your eye will be able to take. How do we calculate the exit pupil without actually measuring it? Well, you take a form like this. The equation that we need to understand is exit pupil diameter is objective size divided by zoom. And I've prepared a couple of simple equations for popular scope sizes here for you, as you can see. So, as you can see, the common sizes 8 by 56, 6 by 42, both provide a 7mm EPD. Meaning that you will never lose an amount of light there. That is the optimum size they could possibly be. If you had a 40mm 4 by 40, 3 to 9 by 40, you'd end up on the minimum zoom with a 13.3mm objective pupil and on the maximum of 4.4. And as you can see, there's a number of equations here leading all the way down to a 50 objective with a 32, let's say an 8 to 32 by 50, leaves you with a 1.5mm EPD. That understood, and now you've calculated your own scope things, we'll talk about the advantages of having a bigger one, or there's not many advantages to having a smaller one. So, matching that EPD to about 7mm is very, very important. Any less than that, there's a potential you might start losing light. However, we've already discussed your eye can go to a maximum of 5 to 7mm. So actually, anything above 5 to 7 is ridiculous, and that's really at the darkest of night. So let's say you're doing a bit of daytime shooting at the range. A lot of target scopes will only have a 1.5, maybe a 1.2mm exit pupil diameter, but in the daylight, that's absolutely fine. Realistically, you want to aim for somewhere around the 3 to 4 mark, because that's what's going to give you the optimum for daytime and dusk shooting. If you're doing a lot of nighttime stuff, I would implore a bigger objective lens, obviously. However, there is other benefits to having a larger EPD than you need. The first is this. Say this is your exit pupil diameter and this is your pupil diameter. On a quick mounting scope, you'll find that you can put your eye anywhere within this very, very easily. So let's say you don't have the perfect rifle fit, the perfect cheek mould, the perfect mount with your rifle. If you have one of those, let's say a snapshot, a shot where you need to mount and shoot quickly, let's say a deer has turned broadside, you've been watching it for a little while and it might move off, but you've assessed everything else is safe, obviously. The ability to just bring your eye anywhere within this, let's say this is your 3mm pupil diameter and yet you have an 8mm objective, you can put your eye anywhere on there and you'll be able to soak in that light and actually get a picture transferred into your eye better. However, if it's the other way around, you'll find your eye has to be perfect to start and your eye will have to strain. To stop your eyes having to work so hard, having a smaller eye or a larger exit pupil diameter ratio is better, obviously. However, not to say that your eyes can't work and work for you. Obviously easier if they're not. Advantages to having a smaller exit pupil diameter are very little. However, you have to think of the other things that come with that. Smaller scope, you get to mount the scope lower to your rifle, always better, we'll do another video on that. And actually there's a lot there in weight saving, compactness of rifle, and to be fair, if you had, for example, what is it, I've got on here, a 4 to 16 by 44. It's a fairly common scope. I've got one of them. At 16 times zoom, you have a 2.7mm thing, but if you wound it down to about 8 times zoom, you've got 5.5mm objective pupil diameter, or an exit pupil diameter, which is pretty perfect actually. So you don't need any of these big scopes, and a lot of what is said is a lie, really. However, all other things being equal, a bigger exit pupil diameter is better, marginally. I would say marginally. Something that is definitely worth saying is, regardless of exit pupil diameter, the overriding factor in all of this is the glass quality itself. So if you buy yourself a £50 6x60 that gives you a 10mm objective diameter, it's going to give you a worse clarity of image, maybe brighter, but shining a light on a fuzzy picture doesn't help it become a clear picture. I'd rather a slightly darker, or have my eyes work slightly harder for a 6x42 Schmidt & Bender than I would a Nico Sterling 8x62 or something. There is nothing about glass quality that is a waste of money, and it is a very clear thing, certainly at the low light levels where you'll start to notice your exit pupil diameter and the benefits of that. Yeah, that's it. However, that's why variable zoom scopes are so popular. You can have it wound right in, and then if you zoom out, that image will appear much, much brighter. So, thank you very much for watching, take care, check it out, maybe have a little look at what scopes you have, and when buying scopes, maybe you don't need to get yourself a 3 to 12 by 56. Perhaps a 3 to 9 by 40 with better glass would be a better investment. Just a thought. Thank you very much for watching, take care, goodbye.